So guys, it's Scott here, and I'm standing with Scott Honan, and I'm really truly excited. I don't get to come on these buyers trips as often as I would like to anymore. I'm standing in an incredible building here. It's an old building that was owned by General Motors. It's been converted into a medical building. This is what they specialize in. The Honan Group, Richard Honan Group has been around for 42 years. I highly recommend that you watch the video about who they are, and Scott and I will do that video from their premises. But the purpose of this video was to talk about collaborative smart investing and what that is all about. Scott, talk to us in terms of the traditional real estate, how you would have financed a building like this. Who would have got access to this? Because I tend to always say to people that most people don't get into commercial. Most people don't get into medical no matter how much money they've got. But they don't get into commercial full stop because they don't have enough money, they don't have enough knowledge, they don't have even experience. But what's important is that even if people have the money, quite often they don't get access to good deals. Talk us through a deal like this, and who used to traditionally get access to these type of deals, and quite frankly, how did you finance these type of buildings even before we came along?
So interestingly enough, in the past, the only people that actually got access to invest in our buildings were either tenants.
So that'd be the doctors, etc.
The doctors in exchange for signing long-term leases, and institutional partners.
And what would a doctor have had to put down roughly in terms of cash? Like what would have been out of pocket, basically?
So
I know it would have been combined with the 10-year lease, which is also significant.
Usually somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000.
Okay.
It's kind of a normal investment that a physician would make. In more recent years, physicians have not had as much disposable income. 30 years ago, a lot of physicians would put in millions of dollars.
And you mentioned some of them have been generational partners where 3 generations have actually been investors in the buildings with you.
That's right. And those are families, so that's father and son physicians, and then the fathers, whether they retire or pass away, the families become our investors, and also generational partners. So you got senior physicians, junior physicians. But you mentioned access to these types of investments. Typically, insurance companies, big insurance companies, putting in institutional money. We spent 4 years with Cousins Properties. That's a New York Stock Exchange publicly traded REIT. The private REITs, so most of the medical office transactions you see going across the United States are either publicly traded REITs or the big private REITs. There really is not, to my knowledge, even the independent medical office developers aren't typically allowing smaller investors in. So they're usually big high net worth, small communities of investors that have been kind of banded together.
And let's be frank, even if you've got $1 million, you're a very small investor in terms of the opportunities like this.
That's correct.
Particularly if you're investing from overseas, whether you've got $1 million, sometimes even $5 or $10 million, you're really not a big player in these markets, and you're certainly not going to make a significant impact and not get access to the best deals.
That's right.
I think,
you can't diversify either.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that are really important for me. We talk about collaborative smart investing. What is it? Well, I highly recommend you go and Google collaborative investing. It's a principle that's been around for decades. And in simple terms, it's about partnership. So what I love about this, and with the Richard Honan Group, they're here, they're boots in the ground, they've got their own money invested in the deal, they do the due diligence, they take a lot of the risk on board, or certainly mitigate a lot of the risk. And it allows us as partners to come along as investors to have a mutually aligned investment, because they're in the deal, we're in the deal, the investor's in the deal, and then we all have our interests aligned, which is one of the most important things. Because generally when it comes to a deal, it's hey, you give me your money, and if there's some upside, I'll get a return, and if there's all downside, it's all your risk, basically. And collaborative investing has fundamentally shifted that mindset. The second part is that with smart, which is the technology component, is that in the old days, only the Hennies and the Peters had the time to fly around the world and to meet the Richard Honan groups, which is, and to be fair to Henny and Michiel, that's how this happened. But with smart and with technology and with where the platform's going, now people can participate globally, and with partners like this, with incredible tech, integrity and huge track records. And what I think is exciting is fantastic, good quality deals for investors. And with technology, they can now participate, but with as little as $100 sometimes, or even $1,000, and get the same relative returns. And I think, for me, Scott, what's exciting is that I know you feel very passionately about empowering people and solving some of the greatest challenges on the planet. And this is what excites me, because this is truly how we can empower people to get access to the wealth that previously we had no access to, and I include myself in that. So it's really exciting, and I'm really grateful that you're allowing us to participate. And I think it epitomizes how technology can solve some of the world's greatest challenges.
I came from humble beginnings myself, and I was explaining to my children why I went to South Africa to meet your firm and meet all of you there, and explain what you were doing to help people, who don't have access to the secure investments, real estate investments. And so the reason why I'm here, the reason why I've gone out to South Africa, the reason why we're working together is because I believe in what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to offer not only companies like this, but opportunities like this. And watch the space. I think hopefully we'll bring you more, and you can not only learn, but you can learn while doing. So thanks.
Thank you. God bless you and your family.
Thanks, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.